All right, you and I are about to watch the last student enter this academy. To our main character, this entrance exam is just a total waste of time. For Ban Yuan, these monsters are jokes compared to the beasts he's already crushed. His secret? He gains power and gets stronger every time he kills a boss. He even steals their attributes. Now, he's being trained as a top-tier warrior. The school's only purpose is creating champions to finally conquer the Tower of Babel. Ban doesn't know the rules here yet, but that tower, it sounds incredibly familiar. He remembers reading legends about it as a kid, back in his original world. He takes the test and absolutely obliterates the competition like it was nothing. After passing, he's warped to the academy minutes before the entrance ceremony starts. The other students are stunned since the official deadline passed a long time ago. But shock turns into laughter once they realize he's just a lowly, weak human. The crowd starts mocking him because, to them, he's just a regular human. That's when Ban realizes something. In this place, being human makes you an outsider. The academy is packed with exotic races, and most of them look completely insane. To make things worse, his ability shows their stats are actually off the charts. Some humans call him over, saying lower races have to sit in back. Now pay attention, because the people in the back are anything but weak. Ban realizes these supposed failures actually possess some terrifying and monstrous attributes. That guy is dangerous, that girl is a monster, their stats are just insane. One student even has numbers way higher than the top students in the front. Ban thought he was the monster, but now he knows he has to grow. He introduces himself to a girl named Ruchel, who is honestly way too cute. Then he greets another girl, but she's got these sharp, intimidating eyes. She's actually eyeing the mysterious artifact hidden away on our protagonist's arm. He reveals his partner, Ava. She's actually a conscious, living, and sentient artifact. The girl is Dooo Yon, the daughter of a legendary Muran martial arts master. Yuan asks if she uses Kai to blow things up like in the stories. Everyone laughs, but she blushes and admits he's actually not that far off. The blonde kid is named Slight. Turns out, only he and Ruchel are humans. Before they can bond, a blinding light erupts and cuts their conversation short. The ceiling suddenly slides open as a deafening sound echoes through the hall. Everyone is suddenly crushed to the floor by an overwhelming, terrifying amount of tension. You feel that too, right? The pressure in this room is absolutely suffocating. Yuan knows it's coming from above, but he still can't see the source. This officially starts the 2557th Union Academy admission ceremony. Later, the 4 special students meet together inside Professor Yumina's private office. She asks if the principal's speech was interesting, leading to a very awkward silence. Breaking the ice, Yuan asks if that giant eyeball was actually the principal. Yumina is genuinely shocked. Dooo Yon knows the principal was hidden by magic. How did this kid see through it? Yumina confirms that eyeball was him. He's a powerful entity who almost never shows his true form to anyone. She tells Yuan he's been summoned for a private meeting with the principal. This is huge, and it turns out his life is about to change forever. Trust me, you and I need to see how this private meeting goes. All right, stick with me. You and I are diving into the Academy's elite class. This woman is heading their special class for the next 5 years. Their success is her legacy. She expects absolute perfection, nothing less. She warns them, regular students will look at them with pure envy. To them, you are just outsiders, so you must stick together. From today, you are a team destined to climb that tower together. Finally, she reveals the academy has a special welcome gift ready. Suddenly, light floods the room as mysterious pendant necklaces appear. Is this an ID? Slight asks. Yumina says it is much more. It is a student ID, a pass, and a personal teleportation device. To prove it, Slight accidentally fumbles with the pendant's core. In a flash, he and his classmates vanish from the room completely. They pop back instantly, looking totally dazed. Yumina just smiles. Pay attention here, this mysterious pendant is the key to everything. They head out wondering why Yuan stayed behind, but some know. He was the only one brave enough to face the principal. The scene shifts. we find Yuan sitting alone in a massive hall. He sits hunched in a giant chair, feeling the heavy silence. He is terrified he messed up enough to earn this meeting. Suddenly, a deep, calm voice booms from the shadows of the room. "Face me," the principal says. "There is no reason to be afraid." After all, this is not my true form. Yuan stays frozen. Yuan keeps his eyes down, paralyzed by that heavy, suffocating presence. That ancient voice echoes again, telling him it is okay to look up. "You saw that presence, right? Well, think again. This is absolute madness." The chair is empty. Instead, sitting right on the desk is a doll. Just a simple rag doll, and that voice is coming from it. "Principal or Chancellor?" Yuan asks. The reply is straight to the point. "Just call me Master." Then, the doll reveals why they are meeting. He does not usually interfere. If they are weak, they stay weak. His only goal is witnessing the one who finally reaches the top. Yuan takes it in. For the Master, this is just a game. But for Yuan, the tower is his family legacy and his pride. He is ready to die for it, but why are others here? What does the tower mean to them? Why is everyone chasing this? Yuan breaks the silence, asking the doll the one question that matters. What exactly is the tower? The doll stays silent before answering him. The tower is a path to the divine, a trial of judgment. Divine? Yuan wonders if that means actual gods or something even stranger. Before he can overthink, the Master drops a massive bombshell on him. He sees more potential in Yuan than anyone in 5 centuries. Because of that, he is breaking his own rule of non-interference today. The doll points a fabric arm at him, right at that moment. The ID pendant in his pocket begins to glow with intense light. "Trust me, you and I just witnessed the start of something legendary." All right, you and I are jumping into the story as our hero scores the ultimate upgrade, full dungeon access. He can finally grind levels outside the academy before taking on the legendary tower itself. Yuan tries to ask a question, but he is cut off when a portal opens right under him. The floor vanishes as the rift drags him in, and while he struggles to keep his balance, the Master gives one last command. "Show me real growth, and I will unlock even more." "Wait, what privileges?" Yuan shouts while being swallowed whole by the pitch-black darkness. The very last thing he hears, before the void consumes him, is that doll's voice. "The privilege of solo tower exploration. I will be waiting for you to arrive." The trip is a complete blur. Yuan falls through the portal and onto something surprisingly soft. "How was the meeting with the principal?" A gentle and sweet voice asks him. He looks up and realizes he is actually lying in the lap of a gorgeous professor. Yuan instantly jumps up, his entire face turning beet red as she starts laughing. She explains that the principal always kicks out his guests in that insane, dramatic way. "Now pay attention here." She takes his ID and her eyes practically pop out of her head. The principal actually gave a student permission to leave the academy. This is completely unheard of. She explains his insane luck. He can grind dungeons and grow stronger without any restrictions at all. Finally, he realizes this was not a punishment. It was a reward for his massive potential. The professor sighs with a bit of envy and tells him to visit the city Ronica. It is a place famous for its beautiful temple and is perfect for a rookie like him. A bit later, we see Yuan hiking down a long and winding stone road. A massive city looms on the horizon as he remembers the professor's very specific request. She wanted some bottles of alcohol as a souvenir, and he just smiles to himself. That info was worth the price. His mind then drifts to his last talk with Grandpa. In the memory, the old man hands him a small bag and asks, "Are you ready?" Inside the bag, a massive pile of pure gold bars catches the light and gleams brilliantly. "This is the legacy of our ancestors," the old man says with a proud smile. "Gold has value in every single world. Carrying this used to be dangerous, but not anymore." With his new inventory skill, he is basically a walking bank. Talk about the perfect preparation. He holds the bars, feeling the actual weight of his family's heritage and responsibility. Finally, he steps into Ronica. It is a vibrant metropolis where the ancient meets the future. You and I need to see this place. Flying bikes and high-tech cars are filling the sky. Yuan watches in absolute awe. He is totally distracted until two city guards stop him. Their initial suspicion turns into instant respect when they see the Academy logo. They salute and explain that the city's peace is all thanks to the Academy. Since he is a newcomer, the guards offer to help him with whatever he needs. Anything at all? Yuan asks, a mischievous little smile creeping onto his face. He points right at a sleek flying motorcycle zipping through the air. I want one of those, he says, his eyes practically glowing with excitement. How much for it? Soon, Yuan is absolutely tearing through the skies of Ronica. He is pushing his new ride across open fields and diving off massive cliffs. The feeling is pure freedom. That impulse buy was worth every single penny. When he asked about the price, they said it was 250,000 ranas. Yuan had no clue what that money meant, so he just acted totally casual. When he asked the price, they said 250,000. Sounds easy, right? He has no clue what that means, and trust me, you and I are going to love this. All right, stick with me, because we are starting with a guard in absolute shock. That single gold bar was worth over 7 million rainies. While flying, Eve, his faithful snake weapon, suddenly appears right on his shoulder. Excited, he asks what she actually thought of their little trip. He infused the bike with demon and ghost concepts, creating a living artifact. Meet Lilith, Eve's new sister. They got along great while exploring the world. Back at the academy, his freedom turned into one massive, splitting headache. Yuan was totally slumped over, while Slight just stared him down with fury. I am disappointed, the blonde says, placing water right in front of him. The reason? After their first meeting, Yuan vanished without saying a single word. He blames the professor for the drinking, but Slight is not buying it. What is that? Asks Dooo Yon, pointing at an emblem on his shirt. He sheepishly admits that he was just appointed as the new class president. Slight actually agrees with the choice, but Dooo Yon cuts him off immediately. I am the strongest. This position should be mine, she declares firmly. Staring at Yuan, Slight gets angry at her arrogance and snaps right back. You always act like you are the best. This argument is getting heated. Now watch this. Here is where the team dynamic really gets messy. Dooo Yon reveals she knows all about Slight's plan to climb the tower. Caught off guard, the swordsman stutters while Ruchel watches everything with pure curiosity. Tired of the fighting and that headache, Yuan just lays his head down. He analyzes the team. Slight is basically a proud and very ignorant lion. Dooo Yon, a tough street cat, and Ruchel is just a docile puppy. Sighing, he raises his hand. The president doesn't need to be the strongest. If that were the case, they would just make every decision alone. A leader's real job is to actually unite the group as a team. After a long debate, Dooo Yon finally gives in and stands up. Looking Yuan up and down, she accepts but gives him a sharp look. To get what we want, we sometimes must accept totally unnecessary things. As she walks away, Slight trembles with rage while Yuan just wonders. How would he ever get these two proud people to work together? Let's see what happens next, because Ruchel approaches with sparkling eyes. So, where did that cute little snake go? Anyway, Yuan's first mission as leader starts with a massive challenge during practical class. On the training field, a stone-bodied student from Class 1 challenges them. The regular students already hate the special ones and start getting rowdy. Everyone wants a chance to fight. Yuan just puts on a clueless face. But Slight was expecting this, knowing the resentment from the other classes. In the middle of the chaos, the stone student, Erector, spots something. It is Professor Yumina's brooch on Yuan's uniform, a symbol of status. Enraged at seeing a weakling with such honor, he demands a fight. The professor finds this rivalry interesting and looks directly at Yuan now. All right, the professor announces. Yuan, you will be the opponent today. Meanwhile, in her office, Professor Yumina is busily reading through every student file. Trust me, you and I need to see what Yumina found in those files. All right, you and I are jumping into a brutal practical combat class test. A clash between classes during the very first period. That is incredibly arrogant. She wondered which nasty teacher designed such an insane curriculum for the students. Back on the field, the sub-professor starts shouting out the first matchup. Yuan calmly raises his hand. With a polite smile, he tries to stay respectful. "Professor, with all due respect, my skills aren't really meant for direct combat." The professor sneers while adjusting his glasses. "Nonsense, that is a weak excuse. -3 points on your grade." It was clear he wanted total humiliation. Thinking fast, Yuan tries another way. "I was accepted for unique admission skills. My powers don't involve direct fighting." But the professor gets even more furious. He screams about not tolerating disrespect and docks 5 more points immediately. The points keep falling. Yuan raises his hand for the very last time. "Fine, I will fight, but give me 1 week to prepare for it." The crowd goes silent, followed by bursts of mocking laughter from the stands. To them, he was just a coward trying to buy himself more time. A blue-haired girl in a witch hat watches him with pure skepticism. She doubted he could do anything significant in only 7 short days. The professor, however, sees a golden chance to publicly crush the kid. Now pay attention, because the professor just set Ban Yuan against the stone giant. The match will be broadcast live for the whole academy to enjoy online. It was exactly what he wanted, a very public and painful humiliation. Yu stares at the stone giant, erector, and activates his special eyes. The stats were brutal: 5 times more health and 10 times more strength. It is a massive gap, but a plan was already forming inside. As he calculates, he notices the worried expressions from his loyal friends. He needed to grow stronger fast, just to survive these absolute monsters. Suddenly, he sees Dooo Yon stretching on the side of the field. She turns to Class 1 and announces coldly, "You want a special show. I specialize in combat, so tell me who is going to be first." "You and I have seen some strong fighters, but these stats, absolute madness." A double S-rank powerhouse, Class 1's arrogance vanished in a heartbeat. The crowd that was screaming for blood was now in a terrified silence. Tired of waiting, Dooo Yon points her finger directly at the stone giant. With a predatory smile, she beckons him, "You were barking loudest. Come here. I will crush you right here." The stone giant freezes in pure terror. Sweat drips down his rocky face. He wanted the weakling, not this monster. Yuan realizes that if they fight, his opponent won't recover for a week. Even though he hates the guy, Yuan runs over to stop his classmate. "Don't fight him, he is my opponent for next week. Let him go." Dooo Yon looks at him, surprised. "I am just defending your honor." He thanks her for the concern, but states his conviction very clearly. "I need to prove my own worth. Please understand my decision here." An intrigued smile appears on her lips. "I thought you were just tricks. But maybe I was wrong. You have actually got real guts, kid." She asks who is next, and trust me, nobody dares to move. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch these trash talkers run in fear. They're running with tails between their legs, while the others finally catch their breath. That public humiliation just fuels the hate the regular students have for this elite group. Suddenly, an arrogant voice booms across the field, asking who the dog is here. Everyone turns to see a blond man with horns radiating a massive, crushing power. "Weaklings always travel in packs," he sneers, looking down at the entire group. He growls that small dogs are a pathetic sight, mocking the squad's power. Duan's focus shifts immediately. A new, dangerous confrontation is finally kicking off. Now watch this part carefully. The horned man smiles as the real battle finally begins. This guy is pure arrogance, totally convinced that nobody here can even touch him. But Yuan sees the truth. This man's power is in a completely different league. "Who is that?" Yuan asks, as Slight responds with a voice trembling in fear. "That is Orda, regent of Kaduis, from one of the 10 great ruling families." As Orma descends from the stands, even his own companions look incredibly nervous. He approaches the substitute professor and demands this fight be made official right now. The professor grins maliciously and pulls out a high-tech recording device. He's going to stream this on the Academy network. Slight explains the plan to Yuan. Slight is shocked when Yuan actually understands how the internet works in this world. Yuan even pulls out his own device to access the Academy's live channel. Rachel and Slight huddle together, amazed by the feed on the small screen. The professor's smug face says it all. He wants to humiliate everyone watching. But Yuan watches Dooo Yon, who is already waiting in the arena's center. You feel that too, right? Dooo Yon is just waiting there, calm in the storm. The two fighters face off, their intense auras warping the very air around them. Make the first move, Ordima says with disdain, looking down at his opponent. Duan just waves him off, saying, since you're new, I'll let you strike first. Orda feels insulted. He raises a hand and commands with absolute power, kneel. A tsunami of invisible, crushing force explodes from him, sweeping through the whole arena. The pressure doesn't just hit Dooo Yon, it actually knocks students from their seats. Slight feels the air vanish from his lungs, like he's being crushed to death. Ruchel is terrified, grabbing Yuan's arm while she trembles from the massive force. That's a distortion of natural law, Yuan whispers, leaving Slight completely stunned. Slight is shocked by his insight, but at the center, she remains motionless. A dark, menacing bloodlust erupts from Dooo Yon, sharp as shattered glass. With a simple, elegant wave, she dispels Orma's pressure like a light breeze. The professor's jaw drops, while Orda's team is left speechless by her casual defense. Even Huan realizes her power was even greater than he had first estimated. Your power is as ridiculous as those horns, she retorts with an icy voice. In a blink, she vanishes and reappears right in front of him, attacking. She throws a devastating kick at his torso, catching him completely by surprise. Orma barely raises his arms to block, but the impact drags him backward. You're not using that same trick twice, she warns as the hunt begins. Dooo Yon moves like a shadow, fluid and lethal, her attacks a blur. Orda can't even keep up, as she dismantles him piece by piece. And trust me, you and I just witnessed a total massacre by a lethal shadow. All right, you and I are about to watch Orda get absolutely overwhelmed. He just can't keep up. Every counter he attempts is way too slow. Completely predictable. She dodges effortlessly, then lands a sharp kick right to his chin. She is dominating a regent, people whisper. Total disbelief. Yuan watches closely, analyzing the entire fight with a cold focus. Power usually slows people down, but she is moving like lightning today. He lacks real combat sense. Slight looks over, impressed by Yuan's deep insight. How did he manage to spot those tiny details mid-fight? Meanwhile, Orda feels humiliated with every hit. Is that all? Just talking. She taunts him, dodging another wild swing. Now, watch this part closely. His sanity finally snaps, and he screams out in pure fury. He unleashes his full aura, roaring about how he won't be humiliated. He explodes with energy, screaming that she will pay with her life. Facing that storm of hatred, Dooo Yon just stares him down, unfazed. She's ready for what comes next, like a predator waiting for her moment. While Orda loses it, Dooo Yon stays calm, watching for an opening. That's a concept a loser like you shouldn't talk about lightly, she says. Her own menacing aura begins to condense, preparing for the final counterattack. She starts to lunge forward, but suddenly the entire fight is cut short. The sound of clapping echoes through the arena. It's Professor Yuma stepping in. Just her presence alone makes those hostile auras vanish into thin air. A field of flowers sprouts from the stone floor, smelling like fresh spring. It is a massive display of power that leaves both fighters frozen. Surprised, they watch the petals fall as she shows her authority. With a serene smile, Yuma scolds them. Pointless fighting is not allowed here. Save that strength for the tower. Don't waste it on petty grudges. Fuming and humiliated, Orda clenches his teeth and simply storms off. You're really strong, Professor, Dooo Yon says, sounding genuinely impressed. Yumina smiles at the compliment, and Dooo Yon returns to her group. You and I saw that too, right? She asks him what he thought. He says watching helped a lot, but a sudden thud interrupts him. Startled, he turns to find Ruchel using him as a human shield. He tries to calm her down, while the warrior remains totally oblivious. She has no idea her aura was scaring the life out of everyone. Back on the field, Yumina is publicly tearing into the assistant professor. She makes it clear his attitude was unacceptable. Apologies won't fix this. Then she walks over. She points to the representative pin on his chest with a smile. With a flick, she says that for a representative, dignity is everything. She gives him a wink, sparking massive jealousy in the crowd around. Yuan sighs. Instead of helping, she just added fuel to the fire. After the battle, rumors start spreading across the academy like wildfire. The video the professor posted to humiliate them backfired in a massive way. The footage showed Dooo Yon's total dominance, and the internet is exploding. Trust me, things get way wilder. All right, you and I are about to watch the Silver Queen, and Yuan takes center stage. The master negotiator Yuan cleverly bought some time for his own upcoming battle. His chat with Professor Yumina sparked endless fan theories about what is really happening. Those theories blew up, making the special admission students total celebrities at the academy. Yuan just laughs while reading comments with his new crew. Beside him, Slight is trying to decipher internet slang, looking completely lost. Of course they are talking about us, Duan says, before dropping a bombshell. It turns out Ordima was not even the strongest in their class. Now pay attention, Duan remembers a blue-haired girl with a mysterious witch hat. There was at least one other person, far more capable than Ordima. Yuan admits he missed it because he was focused on her fight, but then their conversation is interrupted by Ruchel from afar. She is still terrified of Dooo Yon and cannot move, creating a totally unsustainable vibe. Especially since they are roommates. Yuan decides to act, reaching into his inventory for a mysterious glass jar. I know how to fix this, he says, revealing a jar of elixir jelly. The moment he opens it, a sweet and inviting aroma fills the entire room. Ruchel snaps her head up instantly, eyes locked onto the glowing jar. Yuan spreads the golden jelly on bread and offers it to everyone. Slight and Doan take a bite, and their eyes widen at the delicious taste. Even Doan's icy heart finally melts for a second. Yuan turns and calls out to Ruchel, who is already drooling. Come eat with us, she hesitantly approaches and asks for a single piece. As she takes that first bite, you see that the special elixir's calming effect is actually melting all her fear away. As Ruchel savors the bread, Yuan hands another slice to Dooo Yon. Consider this a favor, he says casually, but that word makes Dooo Yon's expression change. She stands up with a sudden, sharp decision in her eyes. Before Yuan can react, she grabs him by the tie. She pulls him close while he still holds the bread, demanding an exchange for that sweet golden jelly. With sudden seriousness, she offers to give him a private martial arts lesson. Before Yuan can answer, the world around him completely dissolves. They end up in a Spartan training room, reflecting her mental space. Dooo Yon picks up a wooden sword and gives a stern warning. Do not move carelessly, she says, as her swing creates a gale. She settles into a low battle stance, ready to show real power. Suddenly, intense pressure explodes from her as she charges straight at him. Her movement is a total blur, a perfect thrust slicing the air. The blade stops millimeters from Yuan's nose as he stands there frozen. He stares at her blankly, trying to process what just happened. This is a thrust, she explains, a strike without any doubt or hesitation. Yuan cannot believe a human could execute a move with such perfection. But in that brief moment, his power did more than observe, it learned. A new concept emerges, penetration. While he tries to understand why he learned that specific concept, Dooo Yon calls him back to reality. Stick with me, his training is just about to get serious. All right, you and I are about to witness some legendary sword training today. How many thrusts? What force? What are you even copying? The variables are infinite. She explains that while everything matters, there is only one true ultimate foundation. A world where one single strike ends it all. Trust me, her words carry weight. Her every move, mastered to its absolute peak, was the pure embodiment of truth. She hands him the blade. Your turn. Gripping the wooden sword, Yuan steps up. He tells her not to laugh at his amateur attempt. If you copied me now, she smiles. My 10 years of brutal training would have meant nothing. Then, he strikes. He mimics her stance perfectly, but the moment his strike cuts air, her smile vanishes. She simply cannot believe what she is seeing right now. Now pay attention here, He mastered the strike's essence just by seeing it once. But Yuan is not happy. Something felt wrong. He was trying to focus on everything. Blending too many concepts was the mistake. Her lesson finally made him see the truth. He needs to go deeper, one step at a time. He sheds his shirt. Freedom. Concentrating, he repeats the motion. One question burns in his mind. Why use penetration? Then it hits him like lightning. It is about what the user truly believes. Dooo Yon believes with her entire soul that a thrust must pierce through everything. With that realization, he channels every bit of his focus, power, and conviction. He pours his entire being into a single attack. The result, completely different. The strike is devastatingly powerful now. It is as if he and the sword merged. They become the living embodiment of the concept. Stop, she suddenly shouts the order. The sheer effort drains his body. He falls, panting, as system notifications start flooding in. Alerts fill his vision. Martial arts concept has been officially learned. Swordsman subconcept has been absorbed. He checks his stats and suddenly freezes. His jaw hits the floor. His attributes have exploded. The swordsman concept grew fast. The jump is insane compared to before. His combat skills have literally doubled. I never thought I would lose like this, she whispers, looking completely stunned. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This guy is way too humble. He claims he only learned because she is a genius teacher. That compliment lands. It caught her totally off guard. She turns away, hiding her blushing cheeks. Satisfied, Yuan thanks her and offers a rare elixir as payment. But wait. One elixir is not enough for this, she says. Yuan tenses up, feeling worried. He has nothing else to give. Seeing his panic, she just smiles warmly. With a playful look, she says she will collect her debt over time. Be ready for that. With the mood shifted, she mentions their next class. They teleport away together. Yuan is still thinking about that mysterious, playful smile. The scene shifts. Ruchel and Slight are walking through the academy halls. They are distracted by a phone when Ruchel accidentally bumps into a group. These students have hostile glares and terrifying auras. Their leader steps forward now. He slams a hand against the wall, trapping her. Where are you going? He sneers at her. This bully just keeps acting like a complete jerk. Ruchel is clearly annoyed, but she refuses to show even a hint of fear. Seeing this, Slight does not hesitate. He steps right between the two. What exactly do you want with my classmate? He asks with icy eyes. And trust me, you and I are going to love watching this bully get crushed. All right, stick with me, because these bullies are about to get exactly what they deserve. The arrival of the legendary Silver Queen completely flips the script on them. They instantly recognize the warrior who crushed Orda and start panicking like crazy. The thugs scramble away while tossing out one last pathetic, empty threat. Ruchel hides behind Slight to thank him, while Yuan watches everything unfold closely. He sees the burning rage in his friend's eyes. This is far from over. Later in class, an old professor lectures about the history of the Union. But for these trashy bullies, it is just another chance to cause trouble. They secretly snap photos of Ruchel while whispering cruel insults to each other. The poor girl tries to ignore them, but her pain is totally obvious. Both Slight and Yuan can feel their blood starting to boil in anger. Yuan realizes that no matter the world, human malice never really changes. Suddenly, Slight cannot take it anymore and slams his desk to stand up. Now pay attention. This is the moment you and I have waited for. The professor just sighs and tells everyone to stay quiet and listen up. He just keeps lecturing without even looking at the real problem here. The bullies mock Slight, calling him a naive loser trying to act tough. Then they ask if he is dating Ruchel just to mess with him. That is it. The poor girl finally breaks down and starts crying silently. Slight finally snaps. He breaks a pencil, ready to unleash absolute hell. But before he can move, a firm hand stops him. It is Yuan. Calm down, he whispers. Slight looks at him in total disbelief. Fighting here makes things worse, Yuan says, pulling out his phone screen. Don't blink, because this reveal is absolutely worth the wait. Slight sees a live stream on Union Tuber and starts grinning maliciously. He tells the bullies to keep laughing. The online audience loves it. They look around confused, but they do not see a single thing. What they did not realize was that little Eve was hidden right there. She recorded everything, every insult and laugh from the very beginning. In seconds, the chat section explodes with thousands of angry, outraged messages. Dr. Dooo Yon praises the plan, but Yuan is not quite done yet. He says nobody messes with one of them and gets away with it. When the Three Stooges finally realize they are live, it is too late. They frantically hunt for the camera until they spot the little white snake. But before they can grab her, Eve vanishes in a literal blink. The noise, finally, makes the professor lose his cool with the class. "I want your names. Get out of my classroom right now," he orders. He even grumbles about failing them as they slink away in shame. Yuan thinks they got off easy, but Ruchel feels much more relieved. She thanks them both with a bright, genuine smile on her face. This moment of gratitude brings the whole group much closer together now. Even Dr. Dooo Yon shows a rare, tiny bit of a smile. Having Yuan as president makes life easier, but the peace is short. But out in the hallway, those three bullies are waiting for them. "Trust me, watch this." "All right, stick with me because these guys weren't playing. They were armed and dangerous." Slight steps forward with a terrifyingly calm vibe, asking them exactly what they want. Facing three armed bullies, Slight doesn't even flinch. He just stands his ground firmly. The leader demands an answer for that recording, which supposedly ruined all their grades. Yuan looks over and sees the substitute professor just watching from the sidelines. He's doing absolutely nothing, even though his students have clearly drawn lethal weapons. It was pure contempt for those from lower dimensions, totally cold and calculated. Shouting breaks out again, but Slight just stares them down with a frighteningly calm gaze. Then he says a single word, "Barbarians." That insult was the final trigger for them. The leader lunges with his sword pointed, asking what that inferior creature just said. Slight's response is instant. He unsheathes his blade with a casual, effortless motion. The sword snaps in two. Pay attention now, this is a major power shift. The bully's sword snaps in two, pieces flying everywhere. Everyone's in total shock. Yuan analyzes the strike, seeing golden energy coating the blade and revealing a new concept. Meanwhile, the leader is shaking, paralyzed by a sudden, overwhelming wave of fear. Slight steps forward, pressing his golden sword against the boy's neck as he collapses. "If you had just asked politely," Slight whispers, his voice sounding ice cold. "I would have talked." His entire personality seems to have completely flipped here. He is now cold and authoritarian as he turns his gaze toward the professor. What is the punishment for students who attack their classmates with actual, real weapons? Caught off guard, the professor looks away and claims the academy encourages combat practice. "But I never actually agreed to a fight," Slight shots back instantly. The professor tries to flip the script, accusing him of drawing first and lying. Slight's fury erupts, the golden aura on his blade intensifying until the air feels heavy. Before he can snap, he feels a sudden, sharp flick on his cheek. It was Dooo Yon. With just a simple touch, she dispels that dangerous aura. Stunned, he makes the sword vanish. You and I can see he was totally lost. The professor, seeing that he's lost control, just walks away muttering to himself. Dooo Yon scolds him, while Yuan realizes the sword is warping his friend's mind. Later, Yuan scolds Slight for his impulsive and reckless attitude during the fight. Feeling regretful, the blonde apologizes but insists he can handle the sword's power. Dooo Yon cuts in, reminding them all about Professor Yumina's warning from before. If they keep showing off this much power, the other students' hostility will worsen. She turns to Yuan. "You're our representative, so tell us what's the plan." Yuan thinks for a moment. The real issue is this system built on prejudice. He asks them, what does it take to win over the masses? Power. They thought so, but Yuan just smiles. It's something else, something we already have. He frames his fingers like a camera lens, a clever look in his eyes. The plan is simple yet genius. Launch a channel on Union Tuber immediately. They'd show their daily lives to build a positive image and change perceptions. They'd show their daily lives to build a positive public image for everyone. Their first upload, a training match between Dooo Yon and a very reluctant Slight. To make him take it seriously, Dooo Yon actually goes right for the throat. She slams him down, taunting him, "Trust me, you and I needed this win." He fights back with everything as Yuan films the spectacular, high-energy clash. Let's dive in. You and I are about to watch these rookies become legends. Fear keeps enemies away, and man, their channel absolutely exploded after that battle. The fight went viral, but fans also loved the clips of them just chilling. Gaming, drinking tea with Professor Yumina, or watching Ruchel eat some weird snacks. Those funny reaction videos won everyone over. Suddenly, they were the Academy's top stars. Next on the agenda, a massive live stream of their very first tower climb. When the big day arrived, crowds gathered. Even Yumina was impressed by them. As the group geared up, our main character stood out, still in his school uniform. While the others wore heavy armor, he just calmly adjusted his tie like nothing. He said this was enough. Then, Yumina warped them straight to the tower entrance. More stairs were waiting. Surrounded by curious fans, he made a big announcement. They were staying for 3 days and 2 nights, with a floating camera recording everything. He led the team inside. This was easily the biggest challenge they had ever faced. He hoped his ancestors were watching. Inside, the rules of reality changed completely. Just like Yumina warned, the floors and the room layouts were constantly shifting around. Usually, dying wasn't permanent here. Losing just meant getting kicked back to the start. Their student pendants would let them teleport back to their last saved checkpoint. But pay attention here, she also admitted there were much darker areas. Places where death was final. On the first floor, they ran into claw scythers. These slimy monsters were gross, but Slight and Diane sliced them up easily. Meanwhile, Yuan tried to pull fire from a torch, but something was totally wrong. His powers failed. He was wide open, but Eve stepped in to protect him. She shifted into a spiked chain, and that is when Ruchel went absolutely wild. Her eyes turned blood red as sharp claws sprouted out. She looked like a different person. She tore those monsters to shreds. Suddenly, Dooo Yon sensed a massive energy spike. He warned the team. Using his special eyes, Yuan saw a summoning circle forming. An obelisk was appearing. He shouted for Ruchel to smash it before it was too late. With one massive strike, she crushed the pillar before an elite monster could even spawn. She grabbed the core as a reward, but then Slight noticed something weird about her. Her pink hair was changing. It had these glowing, multicolored streaks all through it. Yuan explained it was her furnace heart. It burns through emotions to create power. The power is insane, but the cost is high. A worried Ruchel asked a question. Was I scary? She asked. Duan coldly said she would put her down if needed. You and I both know that didn't help her nerves. This got awkward fast. He promised to help her master it. Then, the team warped to the second floor. They landed in a massive green field. Yuan took a moment to check that core. He analyzed the prize, learning the concepts of both acid and fusion from it. He fed the acid to Eve and infused the fusion power straight into his weapon. Evil spirits started swarming. Dooo Yon blasted one out of the sky instantly. He challenged Yuan to clear the entire floor alone, just to speed things up. After thinking for a second, our main character actually accepted the challenge. He summoned Eve. As she passed through a magic circle, she began to transform. She turned into a massive gun. With one simple command, the weapon opened fire. Continuous rounds shredded the spirits. In seconds, the entire floor was completely wiped out. Trust me, you and I just witnessed something insane. What comes next? Stick with me, because you're about to see our main character go absolutely wild. Right on cue, a spirit silently creeps up directly behind Yuan's back. It opens a massive maw, ready to swallow him whole while his friends scream. Noticing their reaction, he spins around to face the monster's mouth head-on. Ignoring his friend's terror, he doesn't even flinch at those massive jaws. Our main character summons a sword from thin air to deal with that spirit. With one single vertical slash, he completely deletes the monster that tried to attack. His two companions, who had their hearts in their mouths, can finally breathe again. Light is left with his jaw on the floor, seeing Yuan wielding a sword. After all, Light had been grinding hard to buff his weapon with special attributes. He'd been saving those for a serious fight, but Yuan is just different. The pink-haired girl is shocked. She had no idea he could even sword fight. Staying humble, Yuan explains that his skills really aren't that big of a deal. He claims he is still nowhere near as skilled as Slight or Dooo. Hearing that, she smiles, finding his humility charming and feeling pretty proud. Now pay attention, because Yuan is not about to slow down for anyone. He keeps pushing forward, switching between weapon shots and lethal, high-speed sword strikes. Every evil spirit in his path gets shredded into nothing by his duel style. The monsters just keep flooding in, but he takes them out one by one. Using both Eve and his sword, his combat flow looks smoother than ever. Every single move he makes puts his growth on full display for everyone. With a smile, he mentions he's just trying to evolve with every battle. After clearing most of the field, he rests his heavy blade on the ground. Looking exhausted, he tells the group the immediate area is finally clear. Only one enemy remains. He summons Eve and turns her into heavy chains. He orders her to bind the last spirit and keep it completely immobilized. With the monster locked down, he suggests they take a breather before finishing. While they rest, the white-haired girl checks the remains of the spirits. She notices something wild. The edge of his sword literally melted the monsters. Look closely with me. That sword edge is already using those new skills. The blade completely melted and disintegrated the bodies of those fallen spirits. She realizes he's already using those special abilities from the previous room. Light is totally shocked by this power, and Dooo starts praising him. She tells him that his last attack was absolutely excellent work. She notes his style is way better than just swinging a blade aimlessly. Slight gets super annoyed at that, asking why she treats him like an amateur. Right in the middle of their bickering, Yuan reaches into his inventory. He pulls out a cold energy drink and starts sipping it calmly. He just laughs at his two friends while they glare back at him. They all get fired up, wanting to know what he's actually drinking. They all get angry, demanding a sip of whatever he's drinking. He just points at the empty can and says he's all out. He mentions they can just buy it outside, but nobody believes him. They're stuck there, and unlike him, they can't just go out shopping. He puts it back, and trust me, things are only getting crazier. All right, you and I are back, right, as one comment flips the script. The girl with white hair took charge, leading them from that second on. Seeing his team fully recovered, our hero dashed to finish the last beast. Suddenly, glowing magic circles burst into life beneath the whole party's feet. As the teleportation pulled them away, he briefly let his eyes shut tight. Checking his own attributes, a stat window instantly flickered into existence before him. 10 different stats flashed by. Seeing his rapid progress made him totally hyped. With these numbers, he was finally hitting that academy average at long last. But he knew efficiency was key. He had to master his swordsmanship soon. The power gap between him and his rival sat at exactly 200. Closing that massive gap this weekend was impossible, but he kept on grinding. His classmates' training was vital. Just having raw skills was never gonna cut it. He had to evolve them. Every thought was focused on gaining more power. He considered asking for extra help, but quickly shut that thought down completely. He couldn't burden her any further, so he kept racking his own brain. While searching for a path to strength, sharp gusts of wind slammed him. The air rushed past, but he was still totally trapped in his thoughts. He missed the danger, assuming the teleportation was still in progress right now. He expected a safe room, then suddenly heard someone screaming his name aloud. He was falling. Our hero snapped his eyes open and saw the nightmare. All 4 of them were in free fall as the wind whistled past. Facing this sudden chaos, our main character panicked for a few frantic seconds. He looked down, wondering why they were plummeting from the sky like this. Ruchel looked desperate, fighting the gravity while holding her skirt down tightly. He looked down again, still baffled by the absolute insanity of this situation. But then, he spotted something that made his blood run stone cold instantly. Now pay attention, he just saw something that'll make your skin crawl. Below them, the floor was a forest of sharp spears pointing straight up. Thinking fast, he summoned Eve, who transformed into a heavy metal chain instantly. The chain lashed around Ral with a perfectly timed and precise strike today. He saved her from becoming a human skewer by a hair's breadth. Close. He let out a shaky breath, but kept gripping that heavy metal chain. You and I both saw that coming, right? A lethal transition point trap. Suddenly, someone called his name. He glanced back to see who it was. The pink-haired girl was hanging upside down directly from the ceiling there. She screamed for him to move, but he just stood there in shock. Seeing her like that was a shock, then a massive explosion of noise. A wall slid open, firing a shower of spears directly toward his head. Terrified, he realized he couldn't just let go of the girl he held. Without a second thought, he yanked the chain, launching her into the air. He yanked the chain hard, throwing her up. Then he summoned Lilith too. Controlling both Lilith and Eve at once, the girl screamed in pure terror. That sudden pull was necessary. He needed her at that exact specific angle. Now the spears could whistle past without hitting her. His plan worked out. And that's where we leave it, trust me. Things are about to get wilder. All right, stick with me. You're about to see him catch her midair like a pro. She's blushing hard while he asks if she's okay. Next, a hover bike ride. He calmly apologizes for the rough start, explaining that the whole situation was just too complicated. But as he speaks, deadly traps start snapping shut all around them. He just smiles, dodging flying axes with insane agility as they roar towards them. He's shattering them all before they even get a chance to graze them. Suddenly, it's obvious Slight has changed. Look at those 4 dragon wings. With his divine sword out, he walks through the wreckage, wondering what's going on. He recalls the professor's warning. The traps shouldn't even be here yet. These tests were for room 20, but they're only on the 3rd floor. The difficulty spike is already off the charts for such a low level. Floating midair, Slight spots a flying motorcycle zipping by and wonders where that came from. Where did his friend even find a high-tier item like that motorcycle? Our main character's clearly annoyed, pushing the bike to dodge constant trap fire. Ruchel is still reeling from that princess carry a moment ago. Now she's smiling and hugging his back, finally feeling safe and comfortable. That sudden hug catches him off guard, and that split-second distraction is a mistake. An arrow slams right into the bike. Things are getting messy fast. He starts weaving between the pillars, trying to outrun the weapons being launched. Pay attention here. The danger closes in until a flash of light cuts through. That slash blocks the spears, and the main character pulls the bike to a stop. He looks over and sees Slight just floating there, watching the chaos unfold. But when he gets a better look at Slight's new form, pure shock. He demands to know where those wings came from, but Slight has questions too. He points at the bike, wondering if it's an item from another world entirely. It looks like something straight out of United Nations world technology. The main character asks about Dio, worried she might be caught in this. But don't worry, she's scaling the tower walls with some incredible speed. He doesn't know where she is exactly, but he knows she won't fail here. And he's right, she's weaving through spears like a seasoned professional. Precise movements, sharp eyes, she's keeping track of every single threat. Feeling relieved about her safety, Slight asks what the game plan is now. With her safety finally confirmed, Slight asks what the next move should be. He tries to remember the rules from the manual they were given. The main character tells Slight to dash to the far side of the room immediately. He needs a moment to analyze exactly how these traps are firing. You saw that too, right? All the traps are targeting only Slight. It clicks. The traps are only targeting whoever is actually moving in here. Thinking back to his classmate earlier, the whole puzzle finally makes perfect sense. They can't just move around without thinking or they'll be toast. He grabs his head in frustration. How did he miss something so simple? Suddenly, his classmate screams a warning about a stray arrow incoming. The arrow hits the bike again. He snaps it off, looking absolutely furious. He has to tell everyone to stop moving right now, but if they do... And trust me, you and I are about to see this get really wild. All right, stick with me. Our hero just stumbled onto a total game changer. He saw the arrow wasn't just stuck, it was literally being absorbed. Ever since the first room, he tried mastering concepts, but nothing clicked. Staring at his blade, he wondered if his gut was finally right. His teammate just stood there, totally lost, watching the whole thing unfold. Right before her eyes, the main character started absorbing the entire sword. Both were stunned as the metal dissolved right into his open palm. The sword became shimmering golden dust, giving him a brand new power. But instead of a sword concept, he gained the unique ability to cut. It felt like that thrusting technique Ruchel showed him earlier in the story. Suddenly, Ruchel screamed for him to look toward the far side. There was Slight, desperately surfing on a massive wave of deadly traps. Slight eventually got away, leaning on his sword, looking exhausted and annoyed. He expected the weapons to be dangerous, but the floor was rigged too. Now pay attention, because things are about to go south for poor Slight. Dozens of new traps closed in, and he couldn't even defend himself. The main character wasn't about to just stand by and watch his friend die. He jumped on Lilith, his glider bike, leaving Ruchel behind to save Slight. He quickly apologized, and she understood he was just trying to protect her. As he sped over the rushing waves, his water points shot up. Everything was happening exactly how he had predicted it in his head. The water touched him, but he gained the specific concept of waves. Finally, he understood why the sword concept didn't work for him before. As he raced forward, Dow jumped between pillars, tracking the whole mess. She looked down in shock as the bike blasted out massive energy. He charged towards Slight, knowing the timing of the manifestation was key. The state of an object the moment it appeared determined its power. Earlier, a trap aimed at his neck gave him the beheading concept. Now, he was heading straight for a rain of arrows and spears. He told Slight to hold on, gunning the engine even faster now. In this desperate moment, he hoped his all-seeing eye would finally evolve. Slight was screaming for help as the weapons closed in to kill. You and I are about to see if this crazy plan actually works. He reached for the weapons, closing his eyes to focus his intent. Activating his power, he felt energy connect with every single flying blade. When he opened his eyes, glowing words appeared on every single weapon. Every concept was clear now, and their hidden intentions were finally revealed. Suddenly, all those deadly weapons shifted their aim and targeted him instead. The blonde guy stared in total disbelief. He had actually been saved. But now, our main character was the target of every single trap. He grabbed one weapon, but taking them one by one would fail. He didn't want the concepts to mix and lose their original raw power. Instead, he unleashed a massive energy surge to link all the weapons. A brilliant golden light exploded, surrounding him in a sphere of energy. Trust me, you and I won't want to miss what happens next. All right, you and I are about to witness the start of something truly epic. Stunning, she reaches out, catching the golden dust from those shattered weapons. Seeing those fragments fall, her smile says everything. Yuan is finally leveling up. She is proud. Meanwhile, Yuan finally kills the engine a few feet away. Slight comes running over, and our hero is just glad his friend is safe. But Slight's eyes go wide when he sees that mysterious object in his hands. He asks what it is, but the main character honestly has no clue. It just appeared after he grabbed the weapons, but while they're talking, another trap triggers. The two immediately go on high alert, ready for anything. Then, like total bosses, the two girls arrive. Their teamwork is absolutely incredible. They deflect incoming swords with perfect, synchronized strikes, saving everyone. Total disaster averted. Ruchel sighs, but the white-haired girl starts scolding them. She isn't holding back, yet our hero is too impressed to even care. Her combat skills are insane. He's totally mesmerized by that performance. Slight, though, he isn't feeling it. Finally, with the last trap cleared, 4 glowing spheres appear, signaling the room is changing. The transfer begins. As they move, our lead watches the duo bickering. Slight wonders why she always had to play the hero at the last second. Just a show-off, right? But for the protagonist, it's actually pretty inspiring. They fight constantly, sure, but they'll always be there to save each other. Dako just brushes it off, claiming she loves the element of surprise. She waits until the final moment just for the drama, Next stop, room 4. Now pay attention here, because these next monsters are absolutely terrifying. Giant spiders, massive, creepy, and ready to rip them all to shreds. Looking at the beast, he has no idea what kind of powers it holds. Slight explains this is a unique monster, a tower spider. They're everywhere. With that warning, he draws his blade, stepping up to protect his friend. The spiders are untouchable, even after Ban Yuan's first few heavy strikes. Not a single scratch, but then Dooo steps out and tells everyone to back off. She looks at our hero and tells him to watch. She tells him to watch her moves closely as she focuses her energy. Her hands form a literal energy cannon. Then, boom, a massive blast. The explosion wipes out a horde of spiders, leaving him totally speechless. You and I both saw that power, even stronger than Eva's bullets, right? She tells the group to leave the final strike to the main character. She smirks, bragging about what a phenomenal master she really is. Peak confidence. A bit shy, he smiles back, pulls his sword, and asks for cover. He charges the spiders, grateful for the chance to finally finish them off. But Slight and Ruchel are watching with pure worry, for good reason. When his blade finally makes contact with the spider's thick, armored shell, there's zero effect. The vibration just makes his hands tremble violently. He strikes again with everything he has, but that shell is way too thick. Now it's the spider's turn. Its eyes glow as it lunges forward. He barely dodges the attack, leaping back just in time. He isn't quitting. And trust me, you and I are about to see if his thrust works. All right, stick with me as we see if our hero can actually survive this nightmare. The couple watching felt a massive surge of hope, seeing him finally land a hit. But our main character knew his power level was still way below what he needed. It was pure frustration. These tower spiders were built on a completely different level. Just then, a memory hit him, a game changer he almost forgot about. Those concepts he absorbed back in the last room, he hadn't even used one. Seizing the moment, he funneled that cutting concept directly into his sword blade. The weapon hummed as it took the charge, crackling with arcs of lightning. With a single swing, a massive aura erupted, time to test this epic upgrade. He lashed out, his blade moving in a deadly blur toward the nearest spider. Now watch this part carefully. The blade starts cutting through their armor like paper. Finally landing, a real hit felt incredible. Slight was floored by his insane growth. Even Dooo was stunned, though she kept quiet to avoid attracting any unwanted attention. The cut felt incredibly clean, but something about the strike still felt slightly off. He wondered if he used way too much force and decided to try again. Seeing his fire, Slight and the pink-haired girl rushed in to back him. Dooo watched closely, realizing he finally found a way to slice through that armor. She kept her eyes locked on him as he carved through the entire swarm. Every strike was a lesson. He was sharpening his skills with every single blow. Usually, when people boost their weapon, their technique just goes out the window. But our main character wasn't failing like that. He was actually getting much better. She hoped that one day, he would truly understand the inner essence of a cut. Watching him fight like this started to bring back heavy memories of her past. After conquering 3 massive calamities, she was the martial world's top prodigy. But here he was, rivaling her own talent and making her look totally average. Let's pause. You and I can only imagine being a prodigy seeing this. Totally oblivious to her shock, our main character kept swinging with absolute focus. He was on a mission, destroying every single tower spider in his way. But even in the middle of battle, he felt a sudden, icy shiver. Slight noticed him looking around and asked if something was actually wrong. His eyes met Doo's just as she started running straight toward him. Suddenly, an urgent system notification popped up on everyone's student IDs right now. It was a direct warning from the director. Leave the tower immediately. The main character was confused. Why the sudden rush to get out? Meanwhile, Ruchel sensed that Dooo was bothered by something dark and nearby. The peace shattered instantly. Ruchel screamed, warning them that the enemy arrived. They looked up in terror as 2 massive portals ripped open above them. Hundreds of spiders poured out. Now the director's warning made perfect sense. It didn't stop there. dimensional cracks started tearing through the air everywhere. They tried to use their student IDs, but the signal was stone cold dead. With communications cut, the whole group was officially trapped in the room. Light drew his sword, bracing for a fight that looked completely unwinnable. This was exactly the deadly nightmare their teacher had warned them about. Spiders flooded the room, crawling over the floor, walls, and the ceiling. And trust me, you and I both know things are about to get wild. All right, you and I are about to watch our hero face a literal nightmare. The protagonist was paralyzed with fear. He had never seen anything this terrifying before. He remembered his teacher Yumina's warning about dimensional pirates invading the high tower. She warned that these invasions turned safe zones into absolute death traps. Monster counts would explode while the difficulty spiked without any warning at all. Now they are living that nightmare. A sudden explosion shatters the nearby wall. Our hero guns his hovering motorcycle, with Rel clinging on for dear life. They follow the group into the open as spiders flood the entire entrance. Slight is fuming. Ruchel growls as those spider eyes glow with murderous intent. These monsters are organized, swarming into the room with terrifying coordination and speed. They just keep coming, the white-haired girl cries before striking out again. Now pay attention, because this is where the fight gets absolutely crazy. The white-haired girl screams as she unleashes a massive energy blast attack. Inspired, Slight jumps in. Together, they start dealing some serious, massive damage. But the fatigue is setting in. Dooo and Slight are looking completely exhausted. Ruchel's power is taking a toll. Her hair is turning almost completely dark. She barely speaks now, just growling with a savage urge to kill every spider. He knew if her hair went black, things would get incredibly dangerous. Dooo notices his worry and pauses the fight to check in on him. She admits she is at her limit and cannot hold out much longer. Hearing she is exhausted, our main character does not hesitate for a single second. He pulls an energy drink from his inventory and hands it over. He tells her to drink up while he holds off the incoming swarm. She smiles, asking if he really thinks he can handle this alone. You bet, he fires back, suddenly pulling a grenade out of thin air. He was ready. He yanks the pin and prepares for the throw. Check this out, he shouts while launching it over the monsters. Power surges around the grenade before it erupts in a massive explosion. A wave of fire swallows the swarm. The blast is absolutely devastating. I know you saw that coming, but trust me, he is just starting. The shockwave is so strong, it forces Slight to block with his sword. He sees the hero fly past and asks what that insane power was. I put serious work into this weapon, he replies, telling Slight to rest. The main character knew Dooo had energy, but he could not rely on her. He keeps charging forward, buying every second he can for his exhausted friends. Suddenly, a notification pops up. His blood poison just hit level 15 already. Even better, his cutting concept just leveled up to level 2 now. Shocked by the speed, he looks down at his sword turning deep red. He does not fully understand the poison yet, but he keeps moving forward. He figures he will find out soon as he engages the next wave. As he swings his blade, a massive burst of energy is released. Something wild happened. The path of his cut completely changes mid-air. It becomes much longer than before, slicing through everything in its path. The skill makes his sword stronger, while the poison boosts his attack. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, it only gets crazier. Stick with me, you're about to witness why this sword is a total nightmare. It literally drinks his blood. Honestly, our main character was terrified of the weapon. Knowing he couldn't use it often, Light stepped up, impressed by his raw power. He was flexing again. Right then, Slight and Dooo finally made it to him. Our main character asked about Ruchel immediately. They said she was still busy. She was nearby, wiping out a whole spider swarm. He told them to rest. But they insisted they were ready. They prepared to switch places with him now. As they took over, Slight noticed something weird. The spider count was dropping fast. They looked down the tunnel and saw it. The monster flow was finally dying. This meant two things. Either the fight was over or something worse was coming. Ruchel sensed it instantly. Something much stronger was lurking just around the corner. A creepy energy made her growl. She stopped right before a suspicious dark spot. Now pay attention here. A portal way bigger than the others began to tear open. That's when the elite tower spider crawled in. This thing was absolutely massive. Our main character froze, staring at a spider 5 times larger than the rest. As he stared, Slight screamed for him. Something was very, very wrong here. He asked if there was more than one elite. That caught him off guard. He turned around and finally understood why his friend sounded so completely desperate. It wasn't just one giant monster, there were 2. They were completely surrounded. Light started panicking, screaming about what was happening. While he was losing it, Dako was just chilling, calmly sipping her drink. She didn't look worried at all. Rel was absolutely furious. Baring her fangs, she charged straight at the giant spider. She attacked without thinking. Slight was worried, but our main character disagreed with him. He thought her aggression was actually smart. They just needed to coordinate their moves. They decided to split. Slight and Ruchel would handle the first giant spider. Meanwhile, our hero and Dooo would take the other. He stepped into position. Facing the monster, our main character raised his sword. But then, he just froze. You and I saw that confidence earlier, right? Well, it's officially gone now. Noticing his hesitation, Dako finished her drink and leaned in close to him. She whispered in his ear, reminding him that he promised to do this together. She tossed her empty can and materialized her own glowing spirit sword. She stepped out front to lead the charge, time to pay for that sweetness. She stood tall against the giant spider. The main character was stunned by her. He was startled. Why was she drawing her sword now? He couldn't look away. She was clearly going to show him her technique. She noticed him staring. She gave him a sharp, annoyed look, claiming she didn't want dirty hands. She told him not to get the wrong idea, but that wasn't true. She knew he was still missing one final move to truly master his skills. She was determined to show it to him just this once. She had to. A massive burst of blue energy exploded as she prepared to finally strike. She wanted him to watch closely. Her eyes glowed with intense blue light. Just as she attacked, our main character's focus was completely shattered. Something had gone horribly wrong on the other side of the battlefield. Ruchel had lost all control. Instead of the spider, she was attacking Slight. He tried to block her, but trust me, this team is officially falling apart. All right, stick with me. You and I are jumping right into the chaos of a deadly spider ambush. That beast lunges, firing a massive web to trap them both. Slight is completely blindsided. Thinking fast, he shoves Ruchel out of the way to save her from being caught. But now he is alone, getting completely wrapped up in that sticky, thick webbing. Ruchel lands on a pillar, snarling at the monster as it screeches back at her. With all this absolute madness, our main character finds it impossible to focus on anything. Dooo notices his distraction and scolds him, telling him to keep his eyes only on her. He says he is looking, but he is too worried about the fight to concentrate. Suddenly, she starts moving her sword, channeling pure energy through the sharp steel blade. She moves slowly so he can see everything. It is all right, she calmly says. Now pay attention here. The giant spider just drops, perfectly split in 2. A simple upward slash, yet that single cut was absolutely devastating. Our main character finally realizes the massive gap between his own power and her skill. The spider collapses, its body parts raining down and scattering all over the place. After seeing that, system notifications start flooding our main character's entire vision. There are so many new concepts that his head actually starts to throb painfully. He mastered advanced techniques, and his concepts are leveling up fast. This power feels just like the pressure from Orima's force field. He starts trembling. With a pounding headache, he wonders how anyone puts that much will into steel. You saw that too, right? That deadly aura is literally giving him chills. Vision blurred, she suddenly leans in close to ask if he saw her strike. He complains she is too close, so she just tosses him a glowing violet sphere. Holding the sphere, he can feel it overflowing with an incredible amount of energy. He is happy but hesitates, wondering if he should really keep something she worked for. Smiling, she tells him it is his reward and that he should not hesitate. He needs to just accept the gift. Meanwhile, from a distance, Slight is fuming. He sees them being all friendly and screams at them to stop flirting and help. He has been stuck in those webs for ages and is starting to get worried. Because Ruchel is in berserker mode and has already shredded her own spider to pieces. Now she is completely out of control. Our hero stares at her, terrified. Seeing the situation, Dooo just sighs and calls Slight a total loser. The hero knows that if they move forward, that berserk girl will destroy them. She would defeat them instantly. He looks back, knowing only Dooo can stop this. Dooo does not seem happy at all about having to clean up everyone's mess again. She is tired of solving the group's problems. Meanwhile, Ruchel is looking for trouble. That completely out of control young woman starts eyeing the others like fresh prey. Our hero tries to reason with Dooo, begging for help in this insane situation. He is persistent, and with his logic, she finds it hard to say no. She cannot refuse, but she notices something, so she finally decides to move. She starts stretching, and seeing this, our protagonist gets hyped up. She tells him she will keep the beast busy, but there is a catch. In return, he must go and defeat the other giant spider himself. Suddenly, Dooo stops talking and charges straight toward Ruchel with incredible speed. She keeps provoking the girl, taunting her to draw all of her wild aggression. And trust me, you and I are about to see a truly legendary clash. All right, you and I are about to witness Ruchel completely snap as her rage hits a boiling point. Claws out, she lunges forward, using that massive spider carcass as a launching pad for her attack. Dooo just effortlessly dances around the first strike, hopping back while the insults keep flying. With every wild, desperate swing Ruchel throws, Dooo uses a basic move to parry them all. After several aggressive attacks, the girl still hasn't managed to touch a single hair on Dooo. Right on cue, Dooo snatches her wrist and slams her face first into the dirt with brutal force. That impact finally snaps her back to reality for a second, though she is definitely not calm yet. Dooo lets go and doubles down on the trash talk, telling her to stop these blind, sloppy attacks. She demands she get up and quit trying to fight someone who is clearly light years ahead. Dooo says she will keep things fun, just enough for her to stay awake through the agony. As the girl snarls, our main character stands back, quietly observing the two of them battle. Seeing him dazed, Dooo barks at him to finally wake up. He finally summons his blade, ready to face down that giant monster spider all on his own. Even facing that nightmare, he thinks he can win if he just times his strikes perfectly. Now pay attention. Let's see if his confidence here is actually for real. Suddenly, a massive spider claw hammers into the earth right next to where he was standing. He barely rolls away from that crushing strike just in time. Slight watches from afar as his friend is nearly crushed into a pancake by that monster. Even though the spider is weakened, it is clearly still looking down on him like trash. Getting taunted by a literal bug makes him so furious he can only grit his teeth in silence. Knowing he needs a win, he finally calls upon Eva. This time, a massive swarm of chains erupts alongside these glowing magical runes. The chains coil around the spider, and trust me, the beast is not happy about it. Slight is genuinely shocked to see his friend has actually managed to pin down the beast. Even Dako glances back for a second, momentarily losing focus on her own battle. Our main character charges in with his sword, but not every spider leg is fully pinned. Those free legs lash out wildly, but he weaves through the chaos with total precision. With Eva restraining those legs and his blade glowing with blood poison, he is ready to end this. He closes the gap, eyes burning with pure hatred as he launches an all-out strike on the giant. You and I both expected a one-shot here, but wait, something just went horribly wrong. The strike connects perfectly, but it is nowhere near enough to bring this monster down. Slight stands there in utter disbelief, wondering how that massive attack could possibly fail. Even while easily dodging Ruchel, Dooo keeps her sharp gaze locked onto our hero's progress. He leaps back several feet, completely confused as to why his strike was so weak. Staring at his blade, he realizes that the blood poison failed to activate properly. Right then, the trapped spider starts shattering those chains to free its massive, terrifying body. It makes sense that one of his skills would fail him right now. Once that spider breaks loose, it is clearly ready to end this battle. It immediately swings those massive legs in a strike that would have been totally fatal. As the beast snaps those chains and lunges right toward our main character. Kicking up a massive cloud of dust, Dooo freezes, leaving her wide open to an attack. But once the dust finally settles, everyone sees that the massive spider has actually fallen. Our hero stands there clutching his blade tightly before he finally loses his balance. As he collapses from exhaustion, you and I are left wondering how he actually won. He remembers that split second when his sword finally met the monster's giant leg. Stick with me, you're about to watch him shift his attack angle with pure, trembling effort. He yanks back his sword, knowing one direct hit would have shattered the blade into pieces. Weapon nearly trashed, he's left wondering how on earth he even saw that strike coming. In that split second, time just stops, stretching out into what feels like a literal eternity. Boom, a notification pops up. By dodging like a pro, he's mastered the concept of flow. Grasping the technique, he forces himself up, giving a silent thanks to his friend. He struggles to his feet, heart racing with respect for the insane skills he just witnessed. Facing that spider again, he knows he can't copy her perfectly, but he sees a path. He knows exactly what's needed to level up his game right here, right now. Sword ready, he stares down the massive spider and throws out one final challenge. Sensing the heat, the monster raises those razor-sharp legs to launch one more deadly strike. But now, he's a whirlwind of steel, deflecting every single incoming strike with total ease. Slight is watching in awe, remembering a high-tier swordsmanship technique called parrying. It's all about redirecting that enemy force instead of just meeting it with brute strength. If he pulls this off, he'll finally have the perfect opening to end this fight. Slight knows the theory, but pulling it off in a real battle is basically impossible. Now here's the part where you and I need to pay attention. Watch this. He has zero real experience, yet he's showing off the reflexes of a seasoned master. Watching him dodge, Slight wonders if this guy has actually never held a sword before. Brushing aside another strike, our main character finally spots the exact opening he needed. He parries the front and spins his blade, shutting down a nasty side attack instantly. Step by step, he keeps pushing forward, closing in on his final path to victory. He's almost there, but that chaotic battle nearby is still dragging on and on. Ruchel is still completely out of control, right until she trips over Do's feet. Do calmly drops her, all while her eyes stay glued to our hero's fight. She's absolutely stunned by what she's seeing. This is just way too hard to believe. She thought she'd be the teacher, but he's the one showing her something new instead. He wasn't just copying her technique, he was taking it to a whole new level. She recalls an ancient martial art where the concept of flow is the absolute essence. Few dare to use it, because timing that perfect moment is considered almost impossible. But you and I can see it clearly, he's pulling it off over and over. Now that spider is the one feeling the pressure as he keeps up the heat. The white-haired woman knows this style is a massive, exhausting risk for anyone to take. Most people look for the easy way out, but she's always hungered for true mastery. In this moment, it really feels like he's handing her the key to a whole new world. While Dooo is distracted, Ruchel finally manages to scramble back onto her feet. She's finally starting to regain her senses, even as Slight begs to be let go. Do doesn't care about any of that, she's just purely focused on the battle. She realizes that simply reflecting attacks isn't going to be enough to win this. To truly end this, our hero needs to make one final, stone-cold decisive move. Gritting his teeth, our hero lunges straight into the heart of the monster's reach. Even with a leg inches from his face, he doesn't stop his forward momentum. Do watches as he uses the enemy's own strength to spin into a deadly combo. Before her eyes, his blade sweeps upward in a massive, horizontal killing arc. Trust me, that perfect final blow was exactly what you and I were waiting for. All right, stick with me, because this monstrous spider is finally about to die. Slight is completely speechless, while our white-haired beauty blushes with excitement. She is absolutely thrilled to see our hero succeed after such a struggle. He watches the massive beast finally fall as the battle reaches its end. With the giant spider defeated, its massive body hits the ground hard. Then it is Ban Yuan's turn to collapse from absolute fatigue. System notifications flood in, announcing that his internal concepts are now merging. He feels his internal code synthesize into something entirely new. Massive changes erupt inside him. Suddenly, he hears Slight calling for help. She is still trapped in those webs and needs him to hurry. Things get complicated when Dooo begs for help to stop a wild beast. Our hero is overwhelmed. He just beat an elite and now this. Everyone is already counting on him to fix every single problem here. In the middle of the chaos, Slight says these webs need magic. Now pay attention, because Dooo warns about Ruchel's seemingly infinite stamina. While the two argue about who to save first, our hero has a plan. His solution: simply absorb the concept of the webbing holding Slight captive. He gains the web concept and immediately uses it to feed Eva. Using this power, he creates chain nets and fires them with precision. The girl is slammed down, completely immobilized by the hero's new chains. He warns her that escape is impossible since these chains drain magic. As she struggles, the chains tighten, leading to a very awkward scene. Both he and Dooo are blushing like crazy from the view they got. Slight quickly covers our hero's eyes, leaving him annoyed he cannot see. The threat is handled, but the room doesn't transition as expected. Still, the chains work. Ruchel's hair is finally turning back to pink. He sees his student identity card is active and suggests they leave immediately. Everyone agrees, but stay with me, because a mysterious red shadow suddenly appears. This illusionary shadow starts whispering that they have somehow passed the test. The group watches as the shadow condenses into a circle of energy. That light molds itself, finally transforming into a red glow before them. She finally transforms into a woman, offering them a chance at a contract. She offers a contract with the 10,000-eyed observer. Meanwhile, outside, the teacher waits anxiously, her face showing all the concern in the world. She grips the identification card tightly, dreading what happened to her students. Suddenly, a massive teleportation portal erupts right in front of the tower entrance. When the dust clears, she sees her students with our hero in front. Yumina rushes toward them, frantically asking over and over if everyone is all right. Our main character calms her down, promising that everyone made it out safe. The teacher admits she was scared since they missed the evacuation order. He asks to go somewhere private before explaining the entire situation. Speaking for the group, he says an irregularity occurred after room 4. It was a total mess, and he admits it is hard to explain. Trust me, you and I are finally seeing Yumina reveal the truth. She explains that an external force actually caused this entire mess. All right, you and I are diving into a story where the academy exam turns deadly. Dimensional pirates are hunting students just to steal their identity cards. Without those cards, they cannot respawn. Their souls are trapped forever. As for the killer, Teacher Yumina reveals the intruder actually managed to escape. Dooo Yon, the white-haired girl, immediately asks if this was all a test. She argues that if intruders can just break into the academy core, then this school has no right to call itself the multiverse's best. Teacher Yumina disagrees, dropping a harsh truth bomb on these young students. The school protects them outside, but inside the tower, they are totally alone. If the tower itself chooses invaders over students, the academy cannot interfere. That is simply the will of the tower and must be respected. Disgusted, Dooo repeats the teacher's words with pure, icy disdain. Grabbing her identity card, she snaps that she hates this and refuses to stay. She decides to teleport away rather than keep talking to them. Just like that, she vanishes, leaving Yumina standing there completely helpless. Our main character steps in, asking Yumina to understand the girl's reaction. Intrigued, Yumina asks him to explain exactly what happened in there. He pauses for a moment, trying to explain the nightmare they just survived. Before making it back, they had an encounter they never expected. The meeting left Slight and Ruchel visibly shaken and totally speechless. Now watch closely, because he is about to reveal the truth. They actually met a constellation, transcendental beings from other dimensions. These powerful observers are constantly watching every world in the multiverse. When they find someone interesting, they offer a massive, life-changing contract. These godlike beings hold massive influence over the world as we know it. They grant insane magic, special abilities, and even powerful legendary artifacts. The price is always high, yet so far nobody has ever refused. In a world where power is everything, nobody resists their tempting offers. While they seem like perfect partners, Yumina cannot believe they appeared here. The teacher is shocked that these observers would descend into the mortal world. Ban Yuan reveals that the thousand-eyed observer spoke to them directly. He describes the entity's voice as strange, eerie, and deeply unsettling. It promised him massive power if he followed its specific demands. You and I both see it. The teacher's face glows with pure excitement. To her, this story is incredible, and she can't hide that radiant expression. But while she is hyped, the pink-haired girl and Slight are drained. Our lead asks if this is really incredible, and she enthusiastically confirms it. Then he hits her with a question about the Academy's actual stance. The teacher is surprised by this sudden curiosity from her student. She claims the institution officially maintains a position of total neutrality. But in reality, they secretly encourage students to sign those dangerous contracts. Our main character finally understands how the system really works. Internally, he just cannot believe this academy has no real defense at all. He snaps back to reality as the teacher begs for more details. What did it ask? Let's find out together. Stick with me, you and I are about to witness one deadly request. The teacher was left speechless by his words, desperately needing more clarity. He finally dropped the truth about the observer's absolute filth of a deal. The promise was simple: sign 2 of them if they eliminated the rest. No wonder everyone was beyond furious right now. Back in the tower, the constellation made a skin-crawling proposal with a distorted voice, vowing eternal love. The man gestured toward the 4, just waiting for someone to snap first. He wanted his sick request finished. It was a race for blood. Our main character was completely repulsed by that pathetic garbage talk. He flat out refused, praying his friend wouldn't fall for the trap. He saw it. His friend was already gathering terrifying energy. Her eyes trembled from the raw power she was now exuding. He told the Professor Dooo only wanted peace, making her heart feel heavy. She realized the girl released her power to force the constellation out. Now pay attention here. The professor suddenly asked about entering that tower. Our hero needed that tower for his duel against a rector. Losing access was a massive hit to his training plans. He figured he would just train with his remaining time. He promised to send his recorded reports over very soon. She agreed, though she really wanted to hear the details over dinner. One look at her told him dinner wasn't happening. Not after this chaos. He could tell they were both completely exhausted. They were drained, both mind and body, a total wreck. She was heartbroken once she saw the state of her own students. In the end, she praised all 3 for their work. You and I can clearly see how much he appreciated her kindness there. She promised to ensure this mess never happens again. She hoped no one hated the academy. Go get rest. Slight and Ruchel said their goodbyes before warping right out of there. Meanwhile, our hero asked them to give Dooo his very best. He was about to head out too, but she stopped him. She had a question and warned it would be blunt. Worried, she asked why the observer didn't just pick any 2 people. Why did that monster specifically target him and Dooo Yon like that? The question hit home, and he finally confirmed her darkest suspicions. Deep down, he knew the being wasn't just looking for a brawl. It felt like the being was sifting through the sand. The observer said they could reach the top together. But only if they cut the useless dead weight. They had to cut that dead weight. Once they saw this go down, both the blue-eyed blonde and pink-haired girl were totally devastated. That monster from out of nowhere was now acting like a true enemy. He was now trying to force those 2 close friends to kill each other. The monster was promising something absolutely insane. And trust me, you and I will soon see if they kill for power. All right, you and I are diving into a world where radiant treasure is absolutely everything. That is just how this world works. After finishing his talk with Professor Yumina, he headed back. He arrived at his dorm, finding Slight curled up in a miserable fetal position. He looked at his roommate, wondering if the guy had even bothered to shower yet. Our hero tried to break the ice, joking that his curled-up posture was actually pretty impressive. He headed to the bathroom, while his companion struggled to find any words to say. Suddenly, Slight asked if he was just trying to humiliate him with those lame jokes. Rolling his eyes, our main character was genuinely shocked. Why would he even think that? His roommate apologized, admitting that he honestly just needed to vent for a little bit. He told our hero to just insult him, since he felt like a total nobody anyway. All of this made our hero feel pretty awkward about just being near Slight. A few minutes later, for the first time all day, Slight finally lifted up his head. Now pay attention here. He looks him right in the eye and says he hates him. Our hero had no idea how to react. He wanted to shout back, but he didn't. He had to settle for just thinking about it while holding his rising anger back. He decided to endure it, thinking that Slight's naivety might actually be useful later on. Despite everything, our hero decided to sit and listen to his roommate's sad story. He told Slight he could say whatever he wanted. He would not mind it at all. Slight just sat there looking depressed, but he finally decided it was time to speak. He explained that back in his hometown, he used to be a very important person. He was one of their most talented. Our hero had already expected that from him. Slight's father had always praised him, along with his family and even his old companions. They constantly talked about his genius, even giving him a legendary, sacred sword to carry. They entrusted him with unparalleled power. He said thanks to them, he succeeded back then. You and I can see his pride literally breaking as he explains that contract. He wondered why everyone was suddenly so obsessed with our hero's talent instead of his. Our hero tried to tell Slight that he was actually talented in his own right. He didn't need to care about the words of that ridiculous, divine entity. As he listened, Slight's eyes widened. For him, the situation was completely different. He used the hero's words against him, claiming it is easy for him to ignore gods. Deeply offended, Slight continued his rant. To him, those were literal, powerful divine beings. They were transcendental gods, much stronger and more recognized than any ordinary, weak human. He could not believe the main character could just refuse an insane offer like that. Our hero was surprised by the question, but he finally started to understand the point. Slight could not believe our main character could actually refuse the gods so easily. Hearing those words, our hero was caught completely off guard. He realized what Slight was implying and lowered his head, explaining his own rejection. He turned down the offer because that kind of proposal was just totally pointless. He also explained that there are plenty of other ways to stand out. Slight claimed he only felt that way because his talent was already completely overwhelming. Honestly, he admitted that if a divine being chose him, he would not hesitate. He might have felt some reluctance, but he would have accepted it anyway. He said he might have made that choice, but he still felt resentful. Facing that terrifying situation, he realized just how much pain his roommate was in. Trust me, it gets wild. All right, you and I are diving into our hero's complicated night, he sighed. He finished drying his hair while glancing around the quiet, empty room. Slight had finally drifted off, and our main character noticed he looked calmer. Seeing his friend was out cold, he decided it was time to leave. He turned to go, but then Slight called out with a guilty look. Voice shaking, he apologized for breaking down like he did earlier. He admitted it wasn't just his friend's fault and apologized for his actions. Seeing his friend finally relax, our main character gave a warm, gentle smile. He told him it was fine, that's exactly what real friends do. Now pay attention, hearing those words, Slight had to fight back more tears. Our hero promised to listen anytime, but mentioned he had to head out soon. He reached into his inventory and pulled out a steaming mug of cocoa. Setting it down, he said sweets make all the bad vibes disappear. Stepping outside, he paused, feeling like a different person than when he arrived. While he was lost in thought, a white-haired girl silently moved toward him. She was so fast, he didn't even notice her presence until she was there. Leaning in with sparkling eyes, she cheered that he was finally back. She confessed she was actually relieved she didn't have to go inside. Startled by her sudden appearance, our hero jumped back in total shock. He asked what on earth she was doing near the boys' dormitory this late. She told him to hush, it's only a crime if you get caught. Before he could argue, she grabbed his collar and dragged him to a bench. Stick with me, here's where she starts being brutally honest about their friend. She claimed she was just wandering around because the local cafe was too crowded. But then, she admitted she was actually curious about that useless kid, Slight. Our hero immediately scolded her for being so harsh toward their own teammate. She shot back, asking if he was just ignoring the obvious, painful truth. According to her, every bit of his power came strictly from that sword. She asked Yuan if he felt it too, that raw strength and sharp instincts. Skills and abilities, all of it belonged to the blade, not the boy. She shamelessly listed more complaints, venting all her frustrations at once. She claimed he couldn't even grasp the gravity of the situation they were in. Frustrated, our hero asked her to stop, but she just kept going. She finished by saying that when things get tough, Slight loses his spirit. She wasn't finished yet and started tearing into Ruchel's many personality flaws.